Hey boys and girls, Ron Bass with another edition of Soar High Personal Development. Ron's Rants, Pop Culture,
Ron's
Encouragement,
Mixed Bag.
Inspiration, Ron's Mixed Bag.
That's the name of the episode, Ron's Mixed Bag.
Did you know what? The whole world's crazy. I'm crazy too.
Hell yeah.
My friend Ike used to come in and tell me that all the time in my office. And you know what? The older I get, the more it rings true to me.
Yep. I mean,
The whole world's crazy, and I'm crazy too.
how many times have I said it this year so far?
Many times.
Exactly.
So today I'm in the gym, and you're gonna like this. And I had this epiphany.
Okay.
Is that the right
Yes.
correct pronunciation? And I thought, I got an idea for tonight's podcast.
Okay.
So I was asking this lady who was working out in the gym with Travell, one of our trainers at the gym. I said, ma'am, what is it that you think bothers people the most on a daily basis?
Ooh, okay.
Because I could tell she was kind of angry. She was like pumping those weights and throwing them around and talking kind of dirty to Travell. I mean, a little bit like, hey, what's going on? Just kind of crazy. And she said, I'll tell you what bothers people the most. And I said, what is that, man? She said, I'm just sick and tired of dumb people. Now,
That sounds like
I said,
a me
well,
answer.
let me dig into that a little bit more. What do you mean by dumb people? People cutting me off at the street. People fingering me, when I'm trying to go down the traffic and I'm going too slow, too fast, turning in front, whatever.
Like flipping the bird?
Yeah, flipping the bird.
Okay.
Some kind of a traffic issue. Or people cutting in front of me in the line at the store. In other words, just dealing with people generally, she just feels like, to her, that's the most disturbing part of her day. That's the thing that bothers her the most. So then I said to myself, then I started thinking to myself, what is it, Davin, that you think bothers people the most on a daily basis? Is it money? Is it relationships? Is it how they feel about themselves? Are they discouraged? Are they having a bad day with their mate? Are they feeling like they're fat and they want to lose weight? Are they feeling like they're not strong? They want to go to the gym, but they're not? What are their disappointments? What is it that bothers people on a daily basis that really bugs them the most? Like a top 5 list.
I'll give you a top 5 list.
I'm ready. I'm going to write it down.
But first, I want to agree with the woman. You want to know what all of that you just said, it all boils down to one thing. People. Goes back to the environment.
Okay.
You're upset with yourself. That's a person, right?
Yes.
You're upset with a relationship. That's a person. You're upset with your boss for not giving you money. That's a person. You see what I'm saying? So I would say people are the number one thing. Dealing with other humans is stressful for others because nobody thinks the same.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
But some people have a lot in common.
I agree with you. I agree. Like you and I, we work well together, but we don't work well with other people sometimes. And some people don't work well with us.
We expect a lot out of ourselves.
I
think
agree.
that's where there's a rub for you and I with other people that they don't come up to that level.
Exactly.
They're not passionate like you and I are.
I
or
agree.
like Luis Rubalcaba, our black belt in jiu-jitsu, so passionate about his trade.
But we also have to remember, it's like the thing I got tattooed, furthest thing from perfect. We have to remember, nobody's perfect.
That's true.
Nobody's perfect.
Only thing that's perfect is
God. Exactly.
But we are in his image.
Exactly.
So I think about that a lot too. Like, if we're in his image, we must be pretty far up the line as human beings in the animal kingdom.
I'll give you that. I guess I'll give you that.
You know what? Man, as hard as I work, I think to myself every single day how many mistakes that I still make. And I've been doing this a lot of years, and I do things that it's like, really? How could I have done that? Or, why did this turn out this way? But you know what I said to a friend of mine, not really my friend, one of my employees tonight, here's what I told him. He was very upset, very discouraged, very depressed. And he said, why is it every time I turn around, somebody's against me, somebody's trying to stop me from doing what I need to do, and blah, 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 and they're all against me. I said, look, man, here's the deal. I've been there 100 times, 1,000 times. You know, the difference between you and I is that I never quit. No matter how discouraged, no matter how disappointed, no matter how whatever, I just keep going. And you know what happens eventually? I've learned so many times, eventually everything turns back around okay again. You have to hang in there.
Yep.
And I'm looking at him and I'm telling this, and I feel like I'm on a soapbox, and he's looking at me like, okay, and he finally started calming down a bit, and his attitude changed just a little bit, and he got a little more optimistic. So I say that to say this. You have to hang in there. You can't give up. I know it's tough. I know there's things going on that are just driving you crazy, and you feel like that you're never going to be where you want to get to, but you will. You just can't give up, and you can't put a time frame on it.
Right.
Okay, so back to our conversation.
Okay,
relationship, people, relationship, boss, money. What else is bothering you on a daily basis that really gets to you on every day?
Like prices of things, not necessarily.
I think health's a big deal. Like image, like I want to look like that person, but I don't look like that person. What can I do to look like that person? Image.
I agree.
Self-image is a big deal, in my opinion.
I agree with you. I do agree with you. But I also think that,
popularity,
I'm going to agree with
socially being popular.
Social
if you're a man, you want women to like you. If you're a woman, you want men to like you.
So
it's important for the ego, to feed the ego.
A little pop culture topic, because you had mentioned, or I had a friend that had mentioned that they're trying to do social credit scores.
Social credit scores.
So if you jaywalk, it dings your social credit score.
Gosh.
If you give a bad review, or like if you get a bad review or something, it dings your social credit score.
Oh my goodness!
I was like, I don't think that could ever work, because I feel like that doesn't determine who the person is or what they do, or
So are they going to create like a thing on the social medias? Or are they going to create a business? Or they just a hobby, or just something to do? Or
he made it sound like the government wants to do it.
Oh, the government wants to do it.
I don't know.
Big Brother.
Yeah, Big Brother.
Hey, not to change the subject, but President Trump, former President Trump, is going to be indicted tomorrow in New York. So what's today's date? What is today's date? April the 3rd. So April the 4th, 2023. He's going to be indicted tomorrow, and I found out today, they're going to give him special treatment where he's not going to have a mugshot, and he's not going to be handcuffed. They're going to give him like something like 30-something counts of on this indictment. The weird thing is, show you how politics work. They're all misdemeanors initially, but they've converted them to Class E felony charges. Now, look, these are like things in business where he would maybe say his property is worth this much, but it was really worth this much, and he probably used that in order to borrow some money. I think that's kind of along these lines of what they're saying, that bookkeeping practices that were
fraudulent. He was being very financially
and at least being perhaps unethical
right.
But they can convert that into laws that are being broke. So they've got all these counts against him. Now, look, I've been in business my whole life. I've been ups and downs in some of those areas myself, and I can tell you that once the prosecution gets involved, it gets pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that you're guilty, and it doesn't mean you're going to lose the case. There's a lot of press, there's a lot of hoopla, but what I'm getting at is, so he's not going to be handcuffed or mugshot. No mugshot.
Interesting.
So that's I guess that's the privilege of being an ex-president. You have some clout with whoever. And that's kind of cool in a way, and maybe not so cool in another way, but it's interesting. I find that interesting.
Oh, no.
And they're like shutting down New York City tomorrow when he goes through this process. Look, the thing I like about Trump, the thing I really like about Trump, is that he always stands up for himself and stands up for other people. And he's tough. Now, has he got some idiosyncrasies? Has he got some ways about him that maybe people don't like? Okay. But hey, you know what? Nobody's perfect. At least the guy's got some kahunas, you know what I'm saying? He's willing to. He's tough.
No, I agree.
And I think people like people that don't tolerate bullshit.
Yeah, and
he's that guy. So
and I agree with that.
Okay, so much for that topic. Okay.
No, I agree. I
want to throw that into pop culture.
I want to keep on that in the sense of like having confidence. It goes back to having confidence. He has enough confidence in himself to say, I don't really care what you think. I'm still going to do what I want.
And talk about kahunas. He's running for president regardless. There's two other cases that are pending against him. One's in Georgia for somehow he trying to manipulate the vote or something like that in the last election. And then there's another potential case against him where they say that he created riots in D.C. whenever the election was being held, January the 6th. Yeah, to protest the election results. So they're going to do everything they can, they meaning his enemies, whoever the enemies are, to get rid of him.
Even bigger brother.
But you know what? I don't think that's going to happen. I think this guy is going to use all these scenes to rally people around him and make him a martyr. I think he's going to wind up with the nomination of perhaps the next president, being president again.
I don't think either of them are going to win.
If people are that worried about him being the president, guess what? There's a whole bunch of laws in place and systems in place to get rid of somebody that's not competent. You don't have to worry about it. He's not an emperor. He's not a king. Did you know when the Constitution was created that the Constitution was created in that the president was created in the image of the king?
Yes.
I didn't realize that until I studied it.
George Washington was actually the one to suggest there should only be 2 terms.
Versus a lifetime in office.
Lifetime seat.
But he does have a lot of the powers of a king, as an example.
He does. He can say yes or no to anything.
Anything
he wants
and he
to.
can, anybody that has a crime, that's committed a crime, he can expunge the crime. Now
he can even expunge himself.
Did
you know that?
I didn't know that.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yep.
So he's like a king, but
weird.
it's just for sure 4 years and then maybe 4 more. But even, did you know that Roosevelt was in office for I think 4 terms? He died in his 4th term way back in the 30s and 40s.
3. He had 3 because it was 2.
No, I think he was 4th term.
I only think
maybe it was 3rd term.
I think it was
he died in his 3rd
because
term.
It was 2. He had went back to back. And then he didn't get one, and then either it was an impeachment or he had died. And
he died in office.
So Teddy replaced. He was
no, his replacement was.
Did he have 3 consecutive back to back?
I think he did. He died during World War II.
I want to say he lost it.
Right at the end of World War. Truman became the president, and Truman's the one that dropped the bombs on Japan that ended the war. Now, how do you think that must have felt? By the way, to drop a bomb knowing you're going to kill hundreds of thousands of people. How do you sleep at night doing that? The argument is, if he hadn't have done that, that many more Americans would have died because the war wouldn't have ended. So that's a tough decision, but...
So, let's see. In the throne, just wall... It's not there. The instability of the times, because it was the Great Depression, World War II.
Oh, the Depression was 1929.
Right, it was 1940.
Yeah.
He won a 3rd term by defeating Wendell Willkie in 1940, United States presidential election.
Okay, so he died in his 3rd term then.
Yes, and the only reason they allowed him to have a 3rd is because of how unstable the world was.
Here's another great president story. You ready for this one? Mm-hmm. Teddy Roosevelt, who was back 1900 and something or another. President, I think when the election was over, he ran as a candidate in another party. He lost, but he was giving a speech. I don't think he was president. Yeah, he wasn't president. He was giving a speech. Did we talk about this one time?
I don't think so.
And this guy walks up to him and shoots him. Now listen to this story. Talk about tough. Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders. This guy was tough as nails. Shoots him while he's giving a speech. The bullet goes he had a book in his coat, goes through his cloth into the book and still goes into his body. Instead of quitting the speech, they apprehended the guy that shot him. He finished the speech.
Jesus Christ.
Before they took him to the hospital.
He said, I'm finishing the shit.
This guy, they don't make him like that anymore.
No, that's crazy.
But that's the reason that a lot of people like Trump, because he's tough.
Right.
Now, is he a little eccentric? Okay, I give you that. But he's tough as nails. And people like that. Now, other people are probably going to say, oh, he's not tough at all. He's a pussyball. Whatever. That guy at least stands up to anybody and anything that threatens our country. And I like that a lot. Did you know back in the day that Teddy Roosevelt sent a whole fleet to, I think, the Philippines or somewhere where there was just one American that was being kidnapped or held, sends the whole U.S. Navy to rescue the one American. Why? Because that's who we are.
Right.
And we're not that way anymore like we used to be. There's an American that's been arrested in Russia right now, a Wall Street reporter. Mm-hmm. I hear no press about this at all. Back in those days, if Teddy Roosevelt was the president, he would have sent the army over there to get this guy out, because it's probably a bunch of baloney.
Yeah.
I'm just saying out loud. But see, those days, it's all watered down. That's why people like Trump, because the guy won't tolerate that crap.
I agree.
He'll stand up for he's all about for Americans. Okay, back to our original subject.
It's okay.
What is it? What is it that bothers you the most on a daily basis, Daphne? We've already covered 3 or 4 things, but let's talk about one more thing.
Did I put prices?
Prices bother you?
Yeah. So
inflation.
So it's not the sense of not having money, it's the sense of
having to pay more.
I have the money, but why is my
money not going as far?
Why is it not? Yeah, why is my money not going as far? Yeah, that's a good. That's a good way to put it, because it's normal things like groceries.
I think.
That's a good.
I think we've worn this subject out enough. Let's talk about a couple more things before we get out of here.
Okay.
I've been having some fun the last couple of days. So, have you ever heard of this saying? don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
What?
Yeah. So I studied this today. I looked it up. Here's what it says. It says basically, if somebody gives you something, don't find something negative about it. Don't be critical of something that somebody does to you that's nice.
Right.
So don't look a gift horse in the mouth. And here's the origin. Back in the day, way back in the day, when somebody would give you a horse, you weren't supposed to look at its teeth and then be critical. Oh, that horse has got bad teeth. Come on, man, shut up. I gave you a horse.
Yeah,
be happy that I gave you a horse.
Right.
So that's the message from that statement. I thought that's pretty cool.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah. Just go.
No, that's a good one because it's like, here's a good example. I got the boys a new controller for their game system in the
When you say the boys, your artists.
My artist.
Soar High Entertainment.
SoarHighEntertainment.com.
Which is our executive producer of our entertainment company.
On Spotify. There's
SoarHighEntertainment.com and Soar High Records is Facebook and YouTube.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. And you can listen to our music.
I got them a new controller because they only had one,
okay.
And sometimes they need two, blah, 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 blah. And they were thankful for it, and they didn't complain, but some people could have been like, oh, I wanted this color. They could have.
Yes, they could have.
That's a great example. I agree with that.
So when somebody does something nice for you, what do you say?
Thank you. Say thank you every time.
When somebody gives you a compliment, what do you say?
Thank you. How does a winner take a compliment?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, here's Ron's rants today. Somebody writes a check to our company, and guess what?
It bounced.
No. The bank said they couldn't cash it because it was too large of an amount.
Interesting.
Really? Too large of an amount. What the hell is a bank for?
They said you make too much money, so we can't give you any.
So you know what we had to do? We had to have the customer write 2 checks.
That's crazy.
That's how crazy the banking system has got. ID was perfect. Everything was perfect. We can't cash that, sir, because it's over our limit.
Limit? You have a safe.
Who made this rule up?
Yeah, what limit?
What the hell is going on with this, Devin? Tell me.
I don't know.
Crazy.
I have no idea.
Oh
I wish I could
God.
put something in the bank that's too high.
If it wasn't so sad.
It'd be funny.
Okay, I've got blank paper in front of me now.
Yeah, I don't know what you're on now.
I don't know what that's about. I'm on a roll right
Ronnie
now.
found some of the drugs and was like, yeah.
Here's another Ron's rant. Ready for this?
Yeah.
So I get behind on my utilities. Guess what happens?
What happens?
They put on a 10%, not a 1%, but a 10% late fee. Now, I want you to do the math. That's 120% interest. Mm-hmm. So it's back to what we had our conversation about a little bit earlier today. When you're down, what often happens? People tend to
kick you.
Thank you. Now, how right is that?
Not at all.
When you're on top, let me tell you something. You should always lend a hand to people that deserve to be lend a hand to. Mm-hmm. Now, if somebody's trying to go down and they don't want help, I get it, get out of their way. But if somebody's trying to make their life better or trying to do the right thing and they want some help, give them a hand. Don't be selfish like that, man.
I agree with you.
Just talking out loud.
I agree with you.
Well, what else have I got in my stack of stuff here? Rush Limbaugh, I know we're about out of time.
No,
Rush Limbaugh used to do what he called his stack of stuff. He was one
Ron's
of the
mixed bag.
Ron's mixed bag. I have to remember that.
Ron's mixed bag.
Ron's mixed bag. I guess that's going to be what we're going to go forward with, huh? A little bit of Ron's rants, a little bit of motivation, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Okay, so here's a crazy story, and then we'll get out of here. One of my employees came to me with this story. So him and his girlfriend got in this big fight, and this is bizarre. She runs him over physically, literally, with a car. So when he wakes up in the middle of the road, he realizes he's bleeding profusely.
Right.
He's obviously has some broken bones.
Okay.
Somehow he staggers.
Okay.
To his girlfriend's mother's house. She proceeds to beat him up even more. Now, I don't know the backstory to this, but here's the rest of the story. They convinced the cops that he's the perpetrator.
That's crazy.
I asked him, I said, how did you even survive physically? He says he doesn't even know to this day. But it went through the court system, and finally he was vindicated. But I mean, really? Is it at a point where, and I don't mean to sound racist by any means, but is this the way it works in the system where they take the word of the woman always? And you can look at this guy and tell, And she's unscathed. And here he is like in the hospital with obviously, he's been messed up pretty bad. And they're taking her word over his. This is in California, by the way.
I don't get into this one. This is the one I stay away from.
I know. But I'm just saying. That's crazy.
I see where you're coming from.
Yes.
And it's not that I disagree with you, but I also morally can't agree with you because it's not supposed to be that way. The court system should not
show favoritism.
No, to anybody.
It should be issued to anybody, right?
Exactly.
I think it's getting better in maybe some ways, but
you already know how I am. I treat everyone the exact same. Everyone is fair in my eyes. Everyone is the same thing. We all bleed red when it comes out.
Yes.
We all have blood. We all have.
Any final thoughts, sir?
Man, the thing that actually pisses me off the most all day, every day, is time.
You don't think you have enough time? We've done a podcast on time management, though.
Exactly.
I disagree with that. I think there's always enough time.
I agree.
So how you manage your time?
I don't know if I can agree with that, but we've talked about that. We've talked about that.
Well, set that as a goal.
Improve on the time.
And forget about what I'm telling you. Just write it down, and when you're in your quiet time, think to yourself, it's 24 hours in a day. How can I improve the efficiency of my time? And we'll leave it at that, and I won't belabor that point.
Being able to play music during the day.
Yeah, I would like to tell you what pisses me off the most.
Okay.
And then we'll finish.
Okay.
This podcast. We're never finished, but for this podcast. What pisses me off the most is when I see people that are competent, ambitious, solid people wasting away their life because they don't follow the rules. And I see so much talent in people, but they don't see it in themselves. And it just hurts me to the core to know that I've tried in some cases to help these people and it doesn't do any good. And that's okay. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a saint by any means, but that pisses me off when I see somebody with all the talent in the world and they don't run with it for whatever reason. And there's a million excuses.
I agree with you.
So I say that to say this. If you got something that you want to do that's important to you, don't wait. Life's very short.
I agree.
Spend every day pursuing your passion. I don't care if you fail or win at it. The idea is to try. You're going to feel a lot better about yourself for trying, even if you fail, than if you don't try at all. I'm telling you, man, I've been through this my whole career, and I know I'm right when I tell you this, so I'll kind of leave it at that. So until next time, if you don't give up, like I said earlier, the stars, they will eventually line up. So until next time, hang in there and stay positive.